Chapter 29. Many people may not seize the fleeting moment to reflect on their life until the moment when their life ends. In such a limited moment, what do you think about? I don't know if it was because the previous life was too hasty and full of cramped and manic memories, or it was because the future life was completely unsure and full of empty hope. I've learned to occasionally look back at the twists and turns in my life that were full of unpredictable variables. Many of the circumstances and scenarios at that time are no longer clear. However, some fragments of sounds and pictures are as deep as imprints in the brain and become important signs in the trajectory of life. But some memories, how I wish they never existed. Even if it existed, how much I wish I could erase my memory like erasing the sound recorded on a tape. If I could choose, how much I hope that this early spring evening in March, I have never been to this beautiful bungalow located in the eastern suburbs, which is peaceful and spring-like. Youngshin, even if Nan agrees, do you think you can really marry her? Mom laughed softly. The bitterness in the laughter was like a knife's edge, cold, thin, and shimmering blue. The light silently splits day and night apart. The last ray of light from the sky outside the window disappeared, and the night quickly splashed and spread like heavy ink. The lights in the building became more and more dazzling, and bright people could hardly see anything, leaving only a beam of light and shadow in their sight. I always thought this was a secret that even Helan didn't know, so I felt a little comfort after his death. But just now, you told me plainly that Elan already knew everything. I really understand what Elan means now. Mom was still chuckling, but those who heard this laughter must not be able to laugh. Like Sue. Like me. Ming-Mei, do you know what you're talking about? What exactly are you talking about? Please don't laugh anymore, Ming-Mei. Sue's voice already showed fear. As I stood there, I also began to tremble, like a leaf in the cold wind. What's her name, Nan? Ruth? Rose? Do you know Nan's Chinese name? Do you know what that means? Youngshin, do you know? Mom asked lightly. Heu. Yi Heu. God bestowed you and Helan's angel. Sue Machinery replied. We all know that such an answer is not even believed by Sue himself. Ha ha, how kind Helan is. Only Helan can come up with such a name and interpretation. Mom murmured, Yi Heu, God gave me and Helan the angel. Youngshin, Su Yongshin. Yi surnamed and Heu are not you. It's your Su Yongshin's Su character. You don't understand why Yongshin. Helan is so eager to find you just to tell you Ran is actually your daughter. He may want to return me to you because he thinks I still love you. At the door of the room in front of me, I saw Su stepped back and staggered. His face was gray and haggard, as if he had aged 10 years in an instant, and his tall and straight figure had completely collapsed. Su looked like a deformed and soulless shadow. And my mother, who slowly approached in front of him, was dressed in black, and her snow-white face was bloodless. Her dark eyes were shining bright, and the wind passing through the hall raised her beautiful long hair like a violent goddess of revenge. I stood by the porch just a few meters away from them, but none of them saw me. Like falling into a nightmare, my consciousness is sober, but my body is out of control. Seeing that Su kept retreating and retreating, it was almost impossible to retreat. Behind him is an unreinforced railing. One more step, Su will trip over the messy tools and cables on the ground. If his body is out of balance and lean against the railing, the current railing couldn't stand such pressure and will break apart. Su will fall directly into the atrium from the observation deck on the third floor. I don't think this will be the result my mother expected. I don't want such an accident happening to Su. In fact, no matter whether Su is in front of me or not, I would never want to see such an accident happen. So at the moment when my consciousness was finally able to control my body, I flew over without hesitation, put my hand on the escalator and pulled Su hard and pushed it in the opposite direction of the balustrade. If Sue was not at a loss and lost his ability to respond and change. If there is not just a set of tangled cables on the ground. If it weren't for this set of cables, it would have just caught Sue's footsteps. If there are not so many ifs, everything that follows can probably be avoided. But there are always so many ifs that are unpredictable. As with all unforeseen and uncontrollable pivotal turns in life, we can only adapt and resign ourselves to fate. So, although I supported the escalator and pushed Sue away from the disaster, I also left the escalator with a single push. But Sue's foot was caught by the cable, he fell on one side, and his right foot, which was not retracted, just caught my way. I fell backwards and against the railing. The moment I fell back and leaned against the railing, I heard the crisp sound of wood cracking. As soon as my body floated, I just felt a burst of emptiness in my heart. I fell straight down from the third floor. I opened my arms and fell backwards, hearing the sound of the wind passing by my ears, as free as a bird. In just an instant, my mind went blank, and I didn't have time to think about anything. It just feels so empty. It seems that my whole body was empty. Fortunately, the overhead wood piled up on the ground floor and the sofa didn't removed. I didn't fall directly on the cold and hard ground. The most important and most unexpected thing is that Min entered the atrium just at that time. Maybe it was because he waited too long, or maybe it was because of his wonderful sixth sense. As soon as he entered the gate, he heard a strange noise, and when he looked up, he saw me falling from the sky. In shock, Min rushed over and stretched out his hand to catch me, but it only touched my back, and I had already fallen heavily. With Min's support and obstacles, my fall slowed down a bit. I fell headfirst on the work material beside me, and then wiped the sofa to the ground. When I landed, the back of my head hit the ground heavily, and I just felt a thud in my head. "Xiao bai, xiao bai." Min hugged me and shouted repeatedly, his voice and face changed in panic. "Did you hurt any bones? Spine? Can you move? Can you hear me? Xiao bai." After only a short break, I sat up slowly with the help of Min and stretched out my hands and feet. Except for the place where my body was hit and scratched, I felt a faint pain, and it seemed that I didn't hurt my muscles and bones. What a miracle! I felt a little dizzy, stuffy and wanted to vomit, but I still forced myself to smile at Min. Sue and my mother also ran all the way downstairs at this time. Their faces were pale, surrounded me with trembling and could hardly speak. I shook my head and felt more and more dizzy. A double shadow began to appear in front of me, but I reluctantly smiled and said, "Mom, we haven't seen each other for a long time. I'm sorry, I'm too wayward." Mom held my hand. Her hand was as cold as ice. "No, Nan, it's my mother's fault." "Ruth," Sue said in a low voice. His voice was hoarse. "I'm sorry, Sue, I just wanted to tell you that I can't promise you," I said gently, and stood up. "Min, let's go back." Min helped me out, followed by Mom and Sue who were at a loss. What a beautiful starry sky. I looked up to the sky. The dark blue night sky is like silk satin, full of stars. The clear air, so clean and transparent, seems to be able to see a whole universe of galaxies. "Xiao bai. Xiao bai. Are you all right? Xiao bai." Min's voice was so far away. I turned my face and saw that he was reaching out to cover my nose. I turned my head away in confusion, only to see that his hand was dripping with blood. The warm and sweet liquid gurgled down and penetrated into my mouth from the corners of my lips. I didn't think I could speak. In a chaotic scream, I fell down. "I'm so tired." I frowned. "Why is it so noisy? I just want to have a good sleep. I don't want to dream, even if it's a dream. I just need to have a deep and good sleep." End of chapter 29.